All right. Hello there. I am Walter Alcorn. I am a member of the Metro Board, and I represent Virginia on the Metro Board of Directors. So thanks everybody for joining us. We're doing a virtual hearing today on Metro's proposed FY27 budget and also the FY27 through 32 capital improvement program. So I do have a couple of folks here today. First of all, Metro's Senior Vice President of Management and Budget, Bob Tusillo, is here, and Chief Board Affairs Officer, Jennifer Ellison. So thank you for joining today. A little bit of background on the process. This hearing is convened by the Metro Board of Directors to gather public comment on two dockets. And those dockets are, first of all, docket B26-01, which is Metro's proposed FY 2027 through FY 2032 capital improvement program, and federal FY 2027 grant applications. And the second docket is B26-02, Metro's proposed FY 2026 operating budget and associated service proposals. So I think I did that right. And also, just as an FYI, notice of this hearing was made by publication in a number of publications, including the Washington Post. Ads were also placed in El Tiempo Latino, the Washington China News, the Korea Times, the Washington Afro, Washington Informer, Atref, and Dine. Information was also provided via social media and in the Transit app. In addition to all that, notice was made online and sent to all jurisdictions within the Metro compact area and to area libraries. And if you didn't hear about it that way, you might have heard about this from signs that were placed in all rail stations, on buses, and Metro access vehicles, and Metro Rail ambassadors provided information in person. So we're looking forward to hearing from everyone who's joined us this afternoon and who wants to provide testimony. But before we go to the testimony, we've got a brief presentation with some additional background information from Mr. Tusillo that provides details on the budget proposal along with proposed changes in service. So, Mr. Tusillo, take it away.
Thank you, Director Alcorn. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome to the virtual hearing. My name is Bob Tusillo, Senior Vice President for Management and Budget, and I'll be sharing with you a high-level discussion of the proposed 2027 budget. So if we can go to the next slide. So this is a slide that shares with you our strategic transformation plan. The board approved a refresh of the plan in December of last year. It has three goals: service excellence, talented teams, and financial and organizational efficiency. And it has several other objectives. The proposed budget for 2027 is aligned with all three of the goals that I've outlined here. Next slide, please. So this slide is a little bit about how fare and service improvements have helped grow ridership. So going back to fiscal year 2021, when bus and rail ridership was 81 million trips, up to our forecast for the end of fiscal year 2026 of 268 million trips. That's about a 200% increase. And along the way, between 21 and 26, we've had a number of changes that have driven ridership to where we think it will be at the end of this year. Some of them I'm going to outline here, such as opening of new metro stations on the Silver Line to Dulles and on the Yellow Line in Potomac Yard, better all-day service, longer weekend hours, convenient ways to pay, which is one of our more recent changes. Last year, we introduced the ability to pay on bus and rail using either a debit card or a major credit card. Reinvesting in service improvements is essential to continuing the growth in ridership. Next slide, please. This slide talks a little bit about the context for our revenue and ridership forecasts. So to guide our forecasting for 2027, we selected a mid-range scenario that factors in the discussed bus and rail service changes, expected growth in our UPass program for colleges and universities, and stable ridership from the federal sector. On rail, paid ridership has grown rapidly and is now entering a phase of steady growth. The baseline forecast for 2027 is 2.3% overall ridership growth from 2026. On bus, paid ridership and revenue are expected to grow with the recent launch of our Tap Ride Go pay system, as well as ongoing fare enforcement. Next slide, please. So I'll now talk a little bit about some service optimization changes. Next slide. So this slide identifies for bus and rail some of the service changes. On bus, we can optimize schedules to provide more efficient bus operations. These concepts add capacity to address crowding, improve on-time performance to address reliability, increase frequencies to improve the customer experience, and enhance the span and coverage of our key routes to provide more consistent service that's easier for customers to understand and use. On Metro Rail, we can improve our operational efficiency through train length optimization, automatic train operations, providing better all-day and late-night service to improve network usefulness, and supporting major destinations with greater service frequency, adding peak capacity to mitigate crowding on the red, orange, and silver lines. Metro access service area will remain the same as in 2026. Next slide. So our goal is to deliver a more useful network to drive continued ridership growth. For bus, this takes the form of, for example, improved service on 19 routes, which is 15% of the routes on the bus side. For rail, that looks like better all-day and late-night service. Better service increases the number of regional jobs accessible within 30 minutes of a rail or bus station by 5% year over year. This is an increase of 37% since 2020 and includes the new bus network. Now I'll go to the next slide and I'll discuss a little bit about our operating budget. Next slide. So as we build a budget, we include certain assumptions. Those are listed on the left. They include collective bargaining agreements, workforce optimization through modernization efforts, reinvestment of savings from automatic train operations and bus efficiencies into providing additional service, and understanding and accounting for the growth in metro access costs. On the right are external factors that could increase costs. Those are things such as inflation, energy markets, and pension and healthcare benefits. We can potentially mitigate these, some of those through evolving our workforce and service delivery by leveraging technology and streamlining processes, and improving energy efficiency through schedule changes and reducing market changes on utilities, fuel, and energy by having longer-term fixed-price contracts. Next slide, please. So this is a snapshot of our budget, starting with the 2025 actuals, our 26 budget and 26 forecast. Our 27 budget is right there, and then there are two forecasts that we're providing. These are for planning purposes and to give both the board and the public some idea of where revenue and costs might be in the future. And this is the first time that we're providing a 2-year forecast in the operating budget. Next slide, please. This is the proposed operating subsidy by both mode and by jurisdiction. The total here is 1.963 billion, and as you can see, those are the representative shares by each of the jurisdictions by mode. Next slide, please. So now I'll turn to the capital improvement program for the 6-year period of 2027 to 2032. Next slide. So due to uncertainty about future funding, we prepared 2 6-year capital budget scenarios. One on the left prepares for a future in which Metro does not receive new additional regional funding. This scenario totals 11.3 billion, covering periods fiscal years 27 to 32. On the right is scenario 2, which to advance more critical work, it would anticipate additional new regional funding of $460 million, which was recommended by the DMV Moves Task Force. Next slide, please. So 2 of the most critical investments impacting the capital program in the near future are 8,000 series rail cars and what we call rail modernization. Next slide, please. So starting with 8,000 series rail cars, one of the investments is to purchase 256 rail cars at a cost of $905 million. They are being built at a new Hitachi facility in Hagerstown, Maryland. The 8,000 series contract has several options to allow us to purchase additional rail cars. Without the additional regional investment of $460 million in scenario 2, Metro will not be able to execute beyond the base order, and the resources would then be redirected to other investments. Purchasing fewer rail cars could impact our revenue service, as we must keep older rail cars in service, leading to poor efficiency and reliability. A smaller, older fleet also reduces flexibility and capacity. So we must decide, making a decision about option 1 in December of 2026, and option 2 and beyond by June of 2027. Next slide, please. The other example I'm going to give you is what we call rail modernization, where we're looking to incrementally invest in upgrading the rail system, starting with the Red Line. As many of you know, the Red Line was the first line built back in the 1970s. We're planning to replace the legacy system with communication-based train control technology and to begin installation of some platform screen doors at some Red Line stations. The estimated cost is $900 to $1.5 billion, of which $1 billion is included in scenario 1. We're also working to advance some additional federal funding to help support the rail modernization program. Next slide, please. So the additional $460 million investment, these are some examples of what we could do if the additional funding is provided. I won't go through all of them, but obviously you can see there's a lot of work that could be done with an additional $460 million annually indexed and bondable. Next slide, please. So written comments must be received by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, February 10th. You can submit them online at www.wmata.com/budget, or you can submit them using the address online. If you're, please reference the FY2027 budget in the subject line so your mail will be received and directed appropriately. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Director Alcorn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate that. That's important information and helpful background. Before we go forward, I do need to correct one error that I made whenever I announced the second docket. Some of you may have already caught this, but this is docket B26-02, Metro's proposed FY 2027 operating budget and associated service proposals. I accidentally said 2026. The years go by, but we are now looking at 2027. So I do have a little bit more info I need to share before we start with testimony. So I'll just go through the process a little bit more for this afternoon. So for this hearing, we have people that are going to be joining us both by phone and by video. If you're joining by video, please keep your camera off and mute your microphone until I call on you. If you're listening and you're going to participate by phone, you can press *5. That's *5 to raise your hand to indicate that you want to speak. So we'll call on you using the last 4 digits of your telephone number whenever it's your turn to speak. So if you're watching this hearing live and you decide you want to provide testimony, you can call 206-899-2028. And after calling in, enter meeting code, and here's the number, 906-459-640#. So once you're in the meeting, if you'd like to provide comments, you can press *5, which will let us know you want to speak. We'll call you on using the last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn. So you'll be called on using those last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn. You can also watch the hearing live online at this website. It's www.wmata.com/budget. And the video will be archived on the Metro Forward YouTube channel. So if you're watching the live hearing on a different device, please make sure to mute the device so that there's not any duplication or feedback that will come through. You'll be able to listen to the hearing while you wait in the phone queue. So for the public to record, for the public record to accurately reflect who's providing testimony, I'd ask that when you get ready to speak, that you please state your name and any organization you represent before starting your testimony. So state your name and any organization you're representing at the beginning. Since this hearing is being recorded and will be available on YouTube, please do not provide any personal information like address, phone number, or email address in your testimony. So elected officials will be allowed 5 minutes, and everyone else will be allowed 3 minutes each. So 5 minutes for public officials and 3 minutes for everyone else. Extra time will be given for translation if needed. And we would ask that you stay within your time because we want to make sure that everyone who wants to speak has a chance to be heard today. I'll also note that each speaker is only available to speak once. While you may have a queue, we cannot accept any additional testimony at this hearing once you've already spoken. So now we're finally to the point where we are going to be listening to you. This is your opportunity to comment on these proposals, on the budget, on the CIP, and we are here to listen. We will not be able to answer questions during testimony. This is not an iterative process during this forum, but your comments will become part of the public record that will be reviewed by me and other members of the Metro Board of Directors. So changes to the options presented today may be proposed in response to testimony received and subsequent staff analysis. So now it's time to call the first witness. As a reminder, please tell us your name and any organization you're representing before speaking. And Jose, I believe you are on point for calling speakers.
Yes, thank you. We actually have 3 speakers that pre-registered, so thank you very much. And I'm just going to go through the first. We have ANC Commissioner Mr. Travis Swanson. You can please unmute and turn on your camera.
Welcome.
Hi, welcome, and good afternoon, Director Elkhorn and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to testify, and I apologize for the bad lighting in this room. It is just always like this every time I'm on video. Well, my name is Travis Swanson, and I have the honor of serving as ANC Commissioner for 7B03, representing the Randall Highlands community in Ward 7, east of the river, the Anacostia River in Washington, D.C., as well as serving as the chair of ANC 7B for the last year. Prior to becoming chair last year, I served as the chair of ANC 7B's Transportation Committee, during which time our commission weighed in at several points on the Better Bus planning and feedback process. Throughout that work, we have consistently appreciated WMATA's willingness to engage with the community and to make route adjustments in response to resident feedback. In ANC 7B, we don't have direct access to Metro Rail. There are no Metro Rail stations within our commission. We are, however, served by 13 different Metro bus routes, which means that every transit rider in our community is a bus rider. So bus service is not supplemental for us, it is foundational. So we are encouraged to see that in this proposed budget, frequency improvements along Route C35 on Branch Avenue, which does come through our area. At the same time, last year, ANC 7B unanimously passed Resolution 7B-25-03, requesting several targeted service adjustments in our area. So we continue to believe that these recommendations are budget neutral and would meaningfully improve access, reliability, and equity for residents of ANC 7B. So I'd like to walk through briefly some of these requests that we have, and hoping that we can maybe get them incorporated into this budget or future planning processes. So first, Route C37. In July of 2025, following resident complaints, Route C37 moved off of 41st Street, which it used to cut from Southern Avenue to Alabama Avenue, and just stayed on Southern Avenue the entire time. While this did address one issue, it created another. The route is now too far for several residents to walk to from the Fort Davis community to reasonably get to the bus stops on Southern Avenue. We believe a better alternative would be that this bus still cut up to from Southern Avenue to Alabama Avenue, but use Massachusetts Avenue in between the two instead to keep more residents within reasonable walking distance. Route C35, which I was just talking about, we love the increased frequency, but we request an additional bus stops on Branch Avenue, specifically at O Street and Randall Circle, to reduce long gaps in between. Route C31, we are requesting an additional stop on South Capitol Street, westbound at Potomac Avenue and eastbound at Q Street, to give ANC 7B residents easier access to major entertainment destinations, including Nationals Park and Audi Field. Route C23, we are asking that southbound stops be added on Alabama Avenue at Q Street and R Street to mirror the existing northbound stops. And then our biggest request, our service request that we're asking for, or most significant one, is that we still believe can be achieved without additional operating costs, is we have a longstanding request for a direct bus route connecting ANC 7B to Union Station, the busiest transit hub in the city. During the Better Bus planning process, ANC 7B did formally request the creation of an additional bus to fill this gap for regional connectivity. WMATA replied, and ANC 7B understands that creating a new route is not financially feasible at this time, and we do appreciate WMATA's transparency about those constraints. As a result, rather than continuing to push for new service, our resolution requested a modification to existing route D1X to fill this demand. Today, reaching Union Station from our community requires a transfer to another bus that runs only every 30 minutes, creating a significant barrier for users. So we are requesting that the bus actually turn off of Pennsylvania Avenue, go up 2nd Street, and then go up Massachusetts Avenue around Columbus Circle, creating that connection, and then use E Street and 9th Street to get back down to Archives. So this would actually create a better connectivity to Union Station for residents of Ward 7, 6, and 2. And then lastly, I just want to highlight a significant funding opportunity. In 2022, the DC Council unanimously passed the Metro for DC Act, which aimed to establish a $100 monthly subsidy automatically added to Smart Trip cards for DC residents. If fully implemented, this program would add an estimated $9.3 million of reliable revenue funding to Metro's budget. So I would strongly encourage WMATA to continue working closely with DDOT and the district to negotiate and advance and fully implement this legislation. Doing so would be mutually beneficial, improving affordability and access for district residents while providing meaningful recurring revenue source for WMATA. In closing, these requests reflect years of community feedback in ANC 7B, careful planning. They prioritize equity, connectivity, and rider experience while remaining fiscally responsible. Thank you again for your time and consideration. And I will also submit these comments in written form so you can look at them closer. I know I described a bus route change that you probably didn't follow because I had to go get through it quickly, but welcome any questions. And like I said, I will submit this in written form as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Swanson, and nice job staying right at 5 minutes. That was good. Okay, so now let's hear from the next speaker, Jose.
Yep, next speaker is ANC Chair. Apologize if I messed this up. Trupti Patel. You can please unmute and turn on your camera.
You did a good job on my name, so thank you. I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and go to my testimony. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Trupti Patel, and I am a fourth-term Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner representing Single Member District 2A03. And I am the chairperson of ANC 2A, which includes Foggy Bottom, the West End, and the George Washington University area. Our community includes residents, students, and workers and visitors, many of whom rely on WMATA for daily transportation, including late night and early morning travel. I want to begin by acknowledging WMATA's recent progress. Service reliability has improved, headways have been reduced, and fares have remained stable during a period of economic uncertainty. These improvements matter, especially for service sector and hospitality workers who depend on predictable transit outside of traditional peak hours. We appreciate WMATA's effort in the FY2027 proposed budget to maintain fare stability while funding service improvements. That said, stability must be matched with outcomes riders actually experience. ANC 2A residents rely heavily on Metro bus service for short trips, connections to Metro Rail, and access to jobs, healthcare, and education. As WMATA continues the implementation of the Better Bus Network, it is essential that redesigns deliver measurable improvements in frequency, reliability, and connectivity, particularly during midday, evening, and weekend periods. ANC 2A actively participated in the Better Bus Network planning process and understands that the redesign was informed by post-pandemic ridership data and an equity framework. However, the impacts in our community have been mixed. In Foggy Bottom, some heavily used routes were replaced, resulting in longer walking distance for riders and unintended neighborhood effects. Through previously adopted ANC 2A resolutions, we successfully urged WMATA to extend the former D74 and D12, now the D10, to the Kennedy Center and restore stops along 23rd Street Northwest. These changes reduced walking times by as much as 30 minutes for some riders, particularly seniors, workers, and people with disabilities. This progress shows the value of community feedback, but it also underscores the need for ongoing post-implementation review. I also need to raise a serious operational concern. As ANC 2A has received repeated complaints about WMATA buses on the C85 and D10 routes, staging and idling overnight, typically between midnight and 5 a.m. at or near New Hampshire Avenue and 24th Street Northwest, a residential area. This prolonged overnight idling has caused significant noise, sleep disruption, and potential health and air quality impacts for nearby residents. We are calling on WMATA to immediately stop using residential areas for overnight staging, to identify appropriate non-residential alternatives, and to enforce idling mitigation measures, including engine shutoff protocols and time limits. Equity must remain central to WMATA's investment decisions. While proposed Metro Rail frequency improvements are welcome, bus service remains the primary mode of transportation for many in our community. Metro bus investments must be prioritized alongside rail, not treated as a secondary. And finally, I want to convey resident concerns about the visible presence of the National Guard and ICE agents at the Metro Rail stations. Many residents report that this level of enforcement does not increase their sense of safety and may undermine rider trust, particularly among immigrant communities and service workers who depend on transit daily. In closing, ANC 2A urges WMATA to conduct a post-implementation review of the Better Bus Network within our area, to respond in writing regarding overnight bus staging practices, and we urge the district to continue strong oversight while protecting funding for the public transit. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Chair Patel. Let's keep going with our next speaker.
Yep. So, Mr. Nash, you are up. Mr. James Nash, if you can turn on your camera and unmute yourself. and you have 3 minutes.
Oh, be sure to unmute.
No, you're I'm muted, sir. You're still muted. You're still muted.
Yeah, while he's looking at that, I know some of us struggle with Teams every once in a while.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
There
Yes,
we
sir.
go.
Thank
Yes.
you.
You can hear me now? Okay, I'm sorry for that. All right, I'm James Nash, and I am a member of the Chevy Chase Community Association Transportation Committee. I am not speaking for that organization, however. I am also a member of Friends of Bus Transit, which is a bus transit group here in Chevy Chase, and I am speaking on behalf of them. And I want to begin by thanking WMATA for working with us during the Better Bus process. They did listen to us, and as a result of our work together and they're listening to community feedback, we got the C83 bus, a new line which partially replaced the old E6, and we're very grateful for that. It restored service to a good portion of our area, which again, as I say, we have no metro service here. We are totally dependent on buses. So thank you for that. Now, that said, I want to make a couple of points about the C83. It runs currently every half hour, and we all would like it to run more frequently than every half hour. I understand there are budget constraints. A second problem is it is often not stopping in the Knollwood retirement community. We do not know why that is. We've called attention to this to WMATA supervisors, but last I heard, the problem is ongoing. So please stop at Knollwood. That's a retirement community, and many people there are dependent on the bus. Then finally, two larger kind of big picture points that I'd like to make. I understand that WMATA needs to make tough decisions with limited resources. I wish that we could get dedicated funding. I know WMATA is working on it, and I am too through council members, but even in your presentation, you show how it's hard for you to plan because you don't have dedicated funding and you're subject to political vicissitudes. This is no way to run a railroad or a bus service. And with global warming, it just seems to me unconscionable. And then finally, we need a bigger pie, but when it comes to dividing up that pie, I would urge you not to look only at ridership. Our ridership is the reason usually given for cuts to bus service in our neighborhood. I do understand you need to look at that, but we should, I believe, not penalize people who are dependent on public transit simply because many people here are car addicts. Many of us are not. We need good bus service. And since we have no metro, it's a question of regional equity that you maintain bus service here, even if our ridership doesn't always meet your goals. We need to have a bus service that serves everybody and a public transit system that serves everybody. Okay, thanks for your time, and my time is up. So bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nash. Appreciate your comments. Okay, and do we have other speakers?
We have one person on the phone with their hand raised, phone number ending in 8560. I'm going to unmute.
Okay. Welcome.
You can unmute yourself. Speaker 8560.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
there we go.
We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Ansel Torres. I'm a blind resident of Silver Spring, Maryland, and I use Metro Access extensively. I want to say that I am extremely satisfied with the level of service that I am receiving now, not so much because of the ADA buses, but because of the Abilities Ride program that makes it possible for people to be picked up with taxis or Uber or such. So for me, it's working well. However, my concern here today with this budget is the transparency on accounting for paratransit money in the WMATA budget. Lots of money is raised, and I think this year you're asking for $200 million. That's a very big number. And I believe that because of using Abilities Ride providers, which is so much cheaper, I don't understand how that number got up there when it was way below 200,000. And the per trip cost has gone from $150 per trip to $63 a trip. There's something weird with those numbers, and there is not much detail provided on how this is broken down. I and friends of mine are uncomfortable with that. I have asked for transparency on paratransit Abilities Ride service, and I have essentially been told to go to pound sand, or I've been given very vague answers. So I would like to have this issue addressed because I am concerned. So while the service is working for me quite well right now, I am very skeptical about the funding and how it is calculated and the transparency that this august body that runs the service claims to represent for WMATA and the public. We have a right to know, and I am asking publicly here for better transparency, more transparency. And if you need more details, I can send you details of exactly what I want, because I don't understand how you could, I don't understand how this calculation is done, and I am very, very concerned about it. Thank you very much. Ansel Torres. I represent the Torres Foundation for the Blind here in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Torres. Appreciate your comments today. Okay, let's see. Is there anyone else in line to speak? And
No,
just
that was
as
our last speaker.
That was the last speaker.
Okay, and I just want to remind folks, if you are on the phone and you want to get in the queue and you have not spoken yet, press *5 to be put into the queue. So, all right, if there are no other speakers, let's just wait a moment here.
Have dialed in.
Oh, no other callers have dialed in. Okay, all right. Well, if that's the case, then we have heard all the speakers that signed up or showed up to speak today. So at this point, then I will conclude this hearing. This hearing is now concluded, but this is not your last opportunity to submit input on this budget and CIP. You're welcome to submit additional written testimony. It does need to be received by 5 p.m. on Tuesday, February 10th. Testimony can also be or can be submitted online if you go to WMATA.com/budget. And online you have and/or write free-form comments, and you could also upload a letter, petition, or any other document that you'd like to submit. You can also mail testimony the old-fashioned way to the Office of Board Affairs, WMATA, and that's SECT 2E. It's part of the address. That's P.O. Box 44390, Washington, D.C., and the zip is 20026-4390. And again, we do have a deadline. All testimony must be received by 5 p.m. on February 10th. And we encourage everyone to submit comments online if possible. So thank you all again for joining us and for taking the time today to provide testimony. We very much appreciate it. Okay, thanks all.